Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we all think we know Hans Christian Andersen. His stories were probably a huge part of your childhood. But today, we're going to unlock the hidden and often much, much darker world that's hiding behind those fairy tales we all know and love.
Right? This is the Andersen we remember, this beautiful idea of hope, of a triumphant transformation where the misunderstood outcast finally finds where they belong and, lives happily ever after. It's a wonderful thought. But then you get this. This is from the original Little Mermaid, and it's a world of just intense pain and sacrifice. It's the kind of brutal detail that almost always gets cut out of the versions we tell our kids. Okay, let's really get into this. So, the first key to cracking the Andersen code is his absolute obsession with the outsider. This probably comes from his own life. He was the son of a poor shoemaker, and he really struggled to be accepted by high society. So you see it again and again in his stories. They're all about the one who's different, the one who just doesn't fit in.
Just think about the ugly duckling for a second. It's not just that he looks different. He is relentlessly picked on by the cat and the hen, who judge him because he can't purr or lay eggs like they can. And they wrap up their cruelty by calling it friendly advice, which is this really awful mind game that attacks his very nature and makes him doubt his own self-worth.
Or, how about the tin soldier? His most defining feature, the fact that he only has one leg, is basically a manufacturing defect. He was the very last one cast from an old tin spoon, and there just wasn't enough metal left. So his whole identity is built on being incomplete, but ironically, that's exactly what makes him so remarkable.
And the Little Mermaid? Well, even before she ever lays eyes on the prince, she's an outsider in her own family, in her own world. While her sisters are all excited about decorating their gardens with stuff from sunken ships, she makes her little garden look like the sun because she's dreaming of the world above. She's an outcast long before she ever tries to join the human race.
So here's the crucial point. If you're an outsider in one of Andersen's stories and you want to belong, well, it's going to cost you. And the price, it's almost always physical, it's brutal, and it is absolutely gut-wrenching.
I mean, let's just break down the actual terms of the Little Mermaid's deal with the Sea Witch. It's so bad that even the witch, the Sea Witch, tells her it's a terrible idea and warns her that it will bring you to grief. But the mermaid is just so desperate for a chance to belong that she takes the deal anyway.
Just look at this contract. This is not some Disney magical makeover. This is a pact for nonstop torture. The transformation itself is described as being unbelievably painful, but it gets worse. Every single step she takes for the rest of her life will feel like she's walking on sharp knives. And if she can't win the prince's true love, her life is just over.
And then you get the final, absolutely horrible twist. Her sisters, they sacrifice their own beautiful long hair to the witch to get one last chance for her, a magic knife. They tell her she has to murder the prince, let his blood touch her feet, and then she can turn back into a mermaid. So her choice is literally to kill the man she loves or die.
Now, this whole theme of painful transformation, it's often tied to another one of Andersen's really sharp critiques, the foolishness of pride. He is constantly warning his readers about the kind of arrogance and vanity that just blinds people to what really matters in life.
You see two perfect examples of this with the emperor, who is so obsessed with how he looks that he spends all of the kingdom's money on clothes, and a stalk of buckwheat, which is so convinced of its own beauty that it refuses to bow its head during a storm like all the other plants do.
And for anyone who's that proud, the fall is always fast and it's total. The emperor is publicly humiliated. The buckwheat gets struck by lightning and burned to a crisp. And then there's the princess from the swineherd. She turns her nose up at a prince's beautiful natural gifts, a real rose, a real bird, but she's willing to trade kisses with a common swineherd for some clever toys. Well, when the swineherd reveals he was the prince all along, he rejects her completely. In the end, her vanity costs her everything.
So, after all this darkness, you might be thinking that Andersen's stories are just, well, bleak. But they're not really. There's actually this strange and profound kind of beauty hidden inside all the sadness, a sort of magic in the melancholy.
Let's go back to the Little Mermaid one last time. She refuses to kill the prince, and she throws herself into the sea, fully expecting to just dissolve into foam. But she doesn't. Because of her completely selfless sacrifice, she isn't destroyed. Instead, she's transformed into an ethereal spirit, a daughter of the air, and she gets a new chance to earn an immortal soul. It's not the happily ever after we know, but it's an ending of transcendence.
And this, right here, this is the core of Andersen's genius. See, he isn't offering us simple escapism. He uses the language of magic and talking animals to hold up a mirror to our own world, to its pain, to its injustices, and to the really difficult moral choices that all of us have to face.
So the next time you read one of these stories, or maybe you see a movie based on one, it's really worth remembering that underneath that charming surface, there is a much deeper, a much more complex, and honestly, a much more meaningful story waiting.
It really leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Are fairy tales meant to show us the world as we wish it was, or the world as it really is? For Andersen, the answer seems to be a little bit of both. He shows us the world's harsh realities, the pain, the pride, the sacrifice, but also the possibility of finding something beautiful and transcendent inside it all. And that powerful, melancholy magic, that is the true Andersen code.